On this week's episode of Coach's Corner, episode number 4, we'll recap the weekend that was. Road Warriors once more, wins over Salmon and schooling the West Kelowna Warriors on Tuesday. We'll talk about that. Canada, World Junior A, big flavor for the Vees. 6 invited to Team Canada West Camp. A broadcaster's jinx, we'll talk about that as well. That much and more. Coach's Corner starts now.
From the Best Damn Sports Bar on Martin Street in Penticton, with our 4th season, this is Coach's Corner. It's the show that brings you insight to the on and off ice action of the 2012 RBC Cup National Champions, the Penticton VEES. Host Fraser Rogers is joined by Vees head coach and GM Fred Harbinson with the Best Damn studio audience for the Best Damn Vees talk. Now, here's Coach Harbinson and Fraser Rogers.
Thanks, Wayne, and welcome back to another episode of Coach's Corner, episode 4 from the Best Damn Sports Bar, joined as always by Coach Fred Harbinson. And let's talk about it. 2 road games. Last time we filmed an episode, 2 more wins on the road for this Road Warrior team. We'll start the most recent game, Tuesday, mid-morning game, 11 a.m. in West Kelowna, a 4-3 overtime win against the Warriors, a team that you have the number now 3-0. Good game for this team. Battle back from 2-goal deficit, go back for the third period. They tie the game, but you come back in overtime. How do you make of that road win in Tuesday?
Yeah, you know what? After the game, when I addressed the team, I told them I thought it was a real character win. There's different ways you win hockey games, and I thought, just from top to bottom. A lot of times when you get behind, you can, say that maybe you had a slow start or a poor start. And I just didn't think that was the case. I thought we had, 2 great chances to make it, 1-0 or 2-0, whatever, to score the first goal, and where we had an open net where McCallum hit the post, and then I think it was Murphy that off a driving play kind of beat Briggs and lost the handle and it went into the corner. And those things happen, and then they made a play, and we get down, and then right away in the second period score another one. And it was one of those games where you're down 2-0. There's so much hockey left to be played, and I thought we were playing pretty well, so it never really concerned us, and just knew that in those situations you need to score the next goal, and we found a way to do that.
You talk about the good start. Were you surprised how well this team started, considering the game started at 11 a.m.? What adjustments? Were there a lot of adjustments being made, obviously, with that start time?
Not really. I mean, you know what? We try to pride ourselves on being an organized group, and I thought, we did our video the night before. We had the guys come in, later in the evening and kind of pack their gear after it dried from practices, so there wasn't a lot of confusion in the morning and rustling around. And our guys seemed in good spirits in the morning and were ready to go. And we always talk about having a real high tempo warm up, and we knew that was going to be critical in a morning game. And I thought in the warm-up we looked like the better team. I thought they looked a little sluggy, and I thought we had a lot of jump. And like I said, they ended up with the 2-0 lead. But for the most part, I thought our feet were moving, our mouths were moving. We were just engaged in the aspects of the game that make us so a strong team. And I've said it before, when we don't turn pucks over in the neutral zone and get pucks in deep, then we're a good team, and we were clearly able to do that on that day.
Despite being down 2-0 early in that second period, he said it's one of the better periods he's seen. 19 shots on goal. Maybe if it wasn't for Tyler Briggs, that would have been maybe more 3-2, maybe 4-1, 4-2 lead for this team.
Yeah, we've seen a situation like that maybe in the past where all of a sudden you could get 2, 3, 4 goals, and we kind of stuck with it. Like I said, the biggest thing is once we gave up that second goal, we knew we had to score the next one. You don't want to get down 3, and no matter how well you're playing, and against a good goaltender like Briggs, and our tempo and our puck possession created chances on the power play for us. We created a lot of problems for their D-core, which forced them to take penalties, and then we capitalized on it to get that 2-1. And he, as you mentioned, Briggs made some outstanding saves after it was 2-1 for them to carry that lead into the third period.
Winning overtime, Mike Revery's second overtime winning goal this year already for him. How do you describe, though, you talk about Wade Murphy, scores the first goal for the team on a 5-on-3, big goal to get you back in the game, make it 2-1. Can you describe the groove or the streak he's in now? Points in 13 straight games. Every game he's played so far this year for the Vees.
Yeah, you know what? It's we knew that he'd be one of the best, if not the best player in the league, and we talked. Me and Wade talked a little bit at the beginning of the year about he was probably a little disappointed he never got drafted last year, and which I thought was a mistake on a lot of teams' parts, and we just talked about being consistent and finding a backup game. We know he can score, but find other ways to contribute and on a consistent basis. And so that he could prove that to other people. He doesn't have to prove it to us. We know what he is, and I think his backup game is being a great penalty killer, competing hard away from the puck and in the battles and in the tough areas of the ice. He's definitely taken another step, and that's why he's doing what he's doing right now.
I know he got in a little bit of penalty trouble, but do you like that fiery spirit from a skilled guy like that?
Absolutely. I mean, you know what? We're a pretty disciplined hockey team, and from top to bottom, and we don't take a lot of penalties. But once in a while, you need to stand up for yourself, and you need to show that we're not going to get pushed around, and you need to find ways to create space for yourself on the ice without taking frustration type penalties. And I'd Wade, the 10-minute misconduct that he took had nothing to do. It was a mouth guard situation where his mouth guard wasn't in his mouth, and so the ref decided to call it. I think he'd been warned, so it had nothing to do with making saying something or doing something undisciplined. It was just kind of an equipment issue.
It was a peculiar play. All of a sudden, he's walking to the bench and going to the dressing room. You talk about the win with Mike Verbery, but the play maybe Sam Miller maybe doesn't get much press, drawing defenders in overtime, throwing it through traffic. Quietly now, 19 points in the year, sits fourth in league scoring. Maybe not getting the headlines, but he's been putting in some good efforts.
Yeah, well, he's another one that's been playing a two-way game, and in all aspects of the game, he's been strong. And the one area probably, he's been a little snake bit as far as scoring goals. I mean, he had a chance when it was 2-1 that he just lasered one top shelf. It was going blocker side, and Briggs didn't see it, and it hit the knob of his stick. Otherwise, it was going to be a tie game. And it was the same sort of cut across the right side in overtime, and this time he kept it low, and the rebound went right over to Rebs, and he was able to tap it in. But Sammy's been a great leader. He's been everything advertised, and we've been fortunate to have him.
We'll continue talking about West Kelowna in a bit to the end of the show and a preview on Friday. Go back though to Friday before against Salmon Arm, coming off a loss the weekend before Nanaimo. Same thing, a scenario a couple weeks ago, almost a month ago before last time. You're coming off a loss in Prince George, going into Salmon Arm, and boy oh boy, another good road effort. Had a 3-0 lead in the third period. Looked pretty complete from this team in that win and getting back in the win column.
Yeah, you know what? Once again, I think it's one of those games where they're kind of like it gets you ready for the playoffs because it's a 1-0 game. We're taking it to them, but you're still one bounce away from being a tie game. So there's not much room for error. You can't. You can't lose your cool, you can't lose your focus and have a defensive lapse. And fortunate for us, one of their players took a pretty undisciplined penalty, and it came at the right time, and it was allowed us to sort of separate ourselves and push the score and get that second and third goal and make it 3-0. And then our radio announcer decided to talk about a shutout, and everything else is 3-2 from there.
I did do that. I'll go on camera and say that. A minute actually before they scored that 3-1 goal, I said that word. So. Chad Katner, I apologize for that. Talk about the division, though. You haven't played Merritt. You will play them, last comment here. You will play them next month in November, peculiar way to the schedule. But you are 8-0 in your division. That obviously 16 for 16 when it comes to points. That's got to keep a coach happy in a divisional race. Yeah,
divisional points are always critical, and we've got another one, tomorrow at home, and then then after that we've got some non-conference games mixed in, right? So it's for us, it's just continuing to make sure that we're tweaking our game, that we're getting better every week, that the guys are growing as players, and that they're feeling comfortable in our league, and not to get too high when things go well, and not to freak out when you have a loss or two in a row. So it's so far to be where we're at after 15 games, and to have only played 11 in our own building, clearly it's been a good start.
Very good start for this team. We will talk about some players after the break. We will go to break, talk about the World Junior A Challenge, 6 V's going to Team Canada West Camp. We'll touch on that after this. You're watching Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar.
Here's a look at the V's upcoming schedule. Remember, home or away, follow all the action on Easy Rock AM 800 or online at www.myeasyrock.com with Fraser Rogers and Al Formal. Join us next time in the Best Damn Sports Bar and be part of the BCHL's premier weekly Junior A hockey talk show, now in our 4th season.
Welcome back to Best Damn Sports Bar. Second segment, we're talking about some international play. The World Junior A Challenge just released its roster for selection camp, I should say. Roster for October 28th, the second Team Canada West camp, and a heavy V's flavor, as you can tell with the flag behind us. 6 V's for Team Canada West invited to the camp. Chad Katner, Troy Stetcher, James Haas on the blue lines, and Wade Murphy, Mike Redbury, and Dexter Danks up front. We knew there would be some strong performers, some strong contenders, but 6, that's got to be impressive. All 6 that were in the mix get named to, I know it's a selection camp, but still 6 guys. Yeah,
you know what, and it was probably hard to, maybe there was a few other guys that were overlooked as well that have, have had good year, with McClure is obviously, with 7 goals, and then Louis Nanny, with the injury and everything, didn't, obviously get selected to the U.S., but yeah, it's great for our guys, great for the program. We lead the country in most players to ever play in that tournament since it started, and I guess for them now it's a chance to go to Calgary and try to make that team after this weekend. And I think their number one focus needs to be on the next 2 games, and then after that it's about making that team. And over the years that I've been here, we've lost a heck of a lot of man games, but we're at a point now where we just understand that it gives other guys opportunities to step up and see what they can do in other roles. It allows those players to play in a international tournament against some of the best players in the world, and in most cases when they come back, they're better for it. We got to find ways this year. If the players that make the team will only miss 3 games, 2 out of conference games, and 2 of the games are at home. So. Yeah. It's a better situation than we've had in the past where guys have missed 5, 6, 7 games.
Do you plan for all 6 not being with you for an extended period of time?
Yeah, that's kind of the approach we're taking right now. Is obviously we're going to have those guys are gone this week in practice coming up next week in practice, and so we'll have a lot of APs, guys that we we want to get in there in case everybody makes the team, and right now we hope for the best, and hope that means that everybody makes the team, and if somebody doesn't, then I guess we as a team benefit to have them back in the lineup. But honestly, that's why it's so great that we've gotten off to a good start. Is just that if we do lose all 6, it's going to put a little more of a stress on our team, but it surely doesn't mean that we can't win hockey games.
Scheduling wise, obviously talked about it, only 3 games. That's something you were looking at the governor's meetings back in the summer when they went out the schedule, because last year there was about 5 or 6 games the team was involved in during the World Junior A Challenge. Yeah,
there's only so much you can do. I mean, as far as trying to avoid different pitfalls when you're doing the schedule. The 2 things that I looked at this year is our non-conference games are always scheduled for us, and then or at least this year they were, and then we had to fill in the blanks with our conference and whatnot. And so for me, the 2 things that I wanted to make sure is, one, that we didn't load up with a ton of games during that time and anticipate that we would have some young talented kids that were going to get invited. And the second thing that we looked at was trying to stay away from a lot of home games early in the year, because traditionally there attendance isn't high in the Okanagan and in Penticton early in the year. So hence saying that we've I know the record says that we've played 5 home games. 1 was in the showcase. We've only played 4 at home. 11 on the road, and that's not easy for our owners. I mean, when you don't have cash flow rolling in, and you're still on the road and you're paying everybody, and that's not an easy thing. So you got to give a lot of credit to our owners for that, and hopefully the people will respect that and understand that now that we're getting home here, that they'll come out and support the team.
No real surprises, obviously, on the World Junior A roster, I would say, when it comes to the players that listed. Chad Katner, almost at the top of every category as a goaltender. Let's quickly maybe touch on his start or his continued start here in the first 2 months of the year. Obviously, knew the talent he was. We talked about before in previous shows, but he's really taken by the reins, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, you know what, Chad, finished strong last year, clearly, and came back with a goal to be the #1 goaltender. And obviously we got two good goalies. Nick Renyard is pushing Chad and making him be an honest goaltender day in and day out. And the biggest thing with Chad is his probably two biggest attributes. One is that he plays the puck like another defenseman back there, so it makes it hard for teams to forecheck against us. And the other one is his compete level. Mm-hmm. He competes extremely hard, not just in in games, but in practice as well. He never feels that he is out of a play. So if there's a scramble situation, he works hard to get back into position and makes it hard for someone to get a tap-in goal. And that's probably his two biggest things. And when you've got a guy that's 6'6" and competes like that and athletic, it makes it hard, hard night to score goals against him.
Troy Stetcher, James DeHaas, a pairing on defense for you. Both scored on Tuesday, both nice goals. DeHaas rushing end-to-end. Obviously, no surprise with Troy Stetcher being a teammate, team member last year with Team Canada West. DeHaas was a tryout for Team Canada East last fall. Now comes out here, will be a tryout for Team Canada West. Do you see him getting more comfortable now here at the Penticton VEES?
Yeah, well, James had his last two games were his two best games of the year, and it was probably they were after one of his weaker ones, and he knows that, and we talked about it in Nanaimo, and I think James has got so much great hockey ahead of him, and he like any of the players that have come from other leagues and come out west here, it's not always an easy transition, and he's finding his way. And I thought, like I said, the last two games he was outstanding and scored a huge goal for us, to go ahead there in West Kelowna. As far as Stetcher goes, he's an awesome captain. I thought maybe the game against West Kelowna would rank up there in my estimation as one of his best games ever, playing for us in his 2 and a quarter years here. He was you could just tell when we were having our timeouts on the bench and stuff. He wanted. You could see his eyes were like, "Coach, give me an opportunity to have the puck on my stick," and not because of selfishness, because he wanted to get that game turned around for us, and yeah, he did that exactly.
He did that more some good fight as well,
Yep.
Kind of get people started up. We talk about Mike Redbury and Wade Murphy ad nauseum. Dexter Danks, no surprise internally. One shift for me on Tuesday was late in the third period, a line change, and he was going against 3 West Kelowna Warriors in the offensive zone, and they couldn't get the puck off him. Pretty good for a 17-year-old in his first year.
Yeah, you know what, Dex has got. Once again, he's a long body, long stick. I mean, when he competes hard, he's a tough guy to get the puck off of. He's only going to get stronger once his frame fills out. But yeah, he's a guy that he's seen some second power play unit time. He's just gotten better and better as the year goes on. But when he's playing with energy, he's one of the better hockey players in the league.
Well, we'll see how it pans out. October 28th to November 2nd, Team Canada West camp. And we'll see who makes it. Stay tuned next week. We might have some details on that. But we'll come back. We'll preview the weekend. West Kelowna and Victoria. We'll talk about that on a Halloween weekend. This is Coach's Corner from the Best Damn Sports Bar.
Here's a look at the V's upcoming schedule. Remember, home or away, follow all the action on Easy Rock AM 800 or online at www.myeasyrock.com with Fraser Rogers and Al Formo. Join us next time in the Best Damn Sports Bar and be part of the BCHL's premier weekly Junior A hockey talk show, now in our 4th season.
Welcome back on Coach's Corner, wrapping things up in our final segment, and it's time to preview the weekend. 2 home games finally for the Penticton VEES after a long road odyssey here in October. We'll start with Friday night tomorrow. West Kelowna, an ordinary bunch, obviously, probably from Tuesday's loss, come for the first time to the SOEC. 4th game already. It's turning into a very good rivalry if it already wasn't, obviously, but some great games so far in the first 3, a lot of back and forth games.
Well, because you got 2 teams that can skate, and so it's fun hockey to watch for the fans, and it's you got 2 teams that have right through their lineup. There's no slugs on either team, and the compete level. Ryland always has his guys competing hard. So it should be another good battle. It's something that we want to keep the the mental edge on them. Obviously, seeing that we won't see them again, I think till just after Christmas. So right now, I think we found ways to get back. 2 out of the 3 games we've come back trailing going into the third, and we talked with our group today about seeing if there's a way that we can play with a little bit of a lead and see how they react.
That's my next question. With those 14 straight wins dating back to almost 3 seasons now, maybe even not even an early goal, but just an early start, a good early start can maybe creep in mentally on their side of things.
Yeah, you know what? Exactly. It's the game is played a lot between the years than a lot of people realize, and so. We've been pretty fortunate to have a pretty strong home record over the years in the SOEC, and teams know that they can't afford to really get down on us, and that's something that we want to continue that trend this year. It's a new team, new environment, and how we decide to play at home. A lot of times, you can't let yourself decide that, hey, all of a sudden we're at home, we're going to try different things. We've had success on the road, so there's no real reason to change. And hopefully for us in the past, a lot of times, when we get good fan support, it gives us energy. We're an energy team. Like I said, talking about how we play with our feet, and the more people we get in that building, I think the quicker we go.
West Kelowna, they had a very potent top line. David Pope, Seb Lloyd, Marcus Pissarro. You shut them down on Tuesday. Lloyd had 2 goals and 2 assists going to the game against the Vees so far. Is it just being that much more physical against 3 guys like that? Slender build, not the biggest of guys when it comes to weight on their frame. Yeah,
you know what? Especially from our decor, we have to make sure that we make it difficult for them to get to the front of our net and keep them, outside the house. And for the most part, I thought we did that. And on top of that, our forwards have to come back hard through the middle of the ice. And they were so far so good on that one, but those guys, the crew that you just mentioned, will be hungry to get back on the score sheet come Friday night.
Second period, West Kelowna ran into penalty trouble on Tuesday. Seems like we saw this last year with this team. It's had extra gear. Has that been key so far? It seems like West Kelowna had a little bit of heavy legs. Second period, this team kept on moving their feet. Get some penalty trouble. Is that also what you key at, is keep them moving?
It's called patience. Right? A lot of times players want instant gratification. Here we go. We got all of a sudden, I'm doing what coach tells me to do, and I need to score now. Well, that's not always the way it works. Sometimes you need to do what you're told, and it takes 20 minutes to wear a team down, or 30 minutes, or whatever it is. And we talked about the Salmon Arm game earlier, where it was 1-0 for a long time. But if you cycle the puck and you get pucks into the right areas, and you don't shorten the rink for your opposition, where you're turning pucks over at your blue line or top of the circles, then that's hard on them. And it's I think that's what the key was against West Kelowna, is that even when we were down, we didn't panic. We didn't start forcing plays. We got pucks behind their decor. We made them grind it out on the boards. And after a while, it was either a penalty or a scoring chance. And lucky for us, our guys stuck with the game plan and found a way to get pushed through it.
I don't know if this question is specific to Salmon Arm or West Kelowna in general. Forecheck has been very difficult for teams, to say the least, with the Vees. Getting a lot of turnovers below the circles. What makes, if you want to reveal this, what makes the forecheck so successful with the Vees early on?
Well, we stay on our guys about reloading on the forecheck and getting back above the puck, and we do it every day in practice on everything we do, and there's no negotiating on it. It's either you do it or you don't play, and so I think our guys have bought into that, and it's allowed us to have success over the last few years.
And then Victoria on Saturday, Halloween game, there'll be pumpkins and all that. Players are carving pumpkins this week, so it's good, and they'll have a trick or sweet night as well around the rink for the kids. But Victoria itself is a team that's on a roll as well. Top of the Island Division, a 9-win team. Bill Bestwick, well, obviously back in the league as the head coach and GM. What makes this Victoria team so good? They're on quite a roll right now in the Island Division. Yeah,
you know what? It's for the league's sake, it's great to see Victoria back where they're at, and they were down obviously the last year or so, and they've got a little more structure to their game. They've added some great pieces over the summer, and as you mentioned, we're going to be very hungry to want to get back at them. It was a heck of a hockey game in Victoria. When I said earlier about 2 teams with us and Westside that can skate, it's the same with Victoria. It was a track meet that night with a lot of physical play as well. It was, but hockey was north and south, and You know, and they were fortunate to get the last goal, and so, you know, they're coming into our building. We got to make it difficult for them. It's something where you know what, they're playing the night before just like us, and it's gonna be you know, 2 great games in our home building this weekend.
With the night before, I'm not mistaken, they're in Trail the night before. 7:30 start there. 5 o'clock start in Penticton, traveling Saturdays. That's something you key on, is the start of that game? Maybe a team that might be a little bus-legged?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, hey, just if you let them settle in no matter what. I mean, you know, you want to jump on teams that have traveled a long time early. Once they settle in, they get their second wind, and good teams will find a way to adapt. So it's yeah, in both situations, obviously you get the short trip for West Kelowna, but the long one with Vic, you got to jump on them quick.
4 former V's, Zach Urban, DJ Jones, Stefan Nicolishin, Mark McCullen, but I think Urban and Jones getting a lot of headlines in the Coastal Division for their strong play. It seems like they're fitting right in there and being key pieces to that team.
Yeah, there's no surprise. I mean, both great defensemen, and you know, obviously didn't want to give up either one of them, but sometimes things happen that you have to do. And I think Jonesy right now, if I believe, is out. He'll be he's injured this weekend, but you know, we're real happy for all those guys that they're doing well over there, and just not Saturday night.
Lastly, about Victoria, are the triplets underrated trio? I know they get a lot of attention for being triplets, but actual hockey players, do they get underlooked maybe compared to some other teams?
Got a lot of hockey sense between the 3 of them, and they compete real hard, and you know, it's not always the size of the man, right? So it's they've got big hearts, and you know, I have a lot of respect for them for sure.
Miles put that overtime winner against the Vees. A little sour taste there. As always, Fred, thanks for coming by and doing this. Episode 4 in the books. We'll be back next week recapping the 2 games this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Victoria and West Kelowna. Thanks everybody for coming by. This has been Coach's Corner from Best Damn Sports Bar.
Coach's Corner has been a presentation of the Penticton VEES. Production services provided by Groovy Productions and Synergy Imaging. I'm Wayne Williams. And remember, everyone, help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered.